What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I am here to talk to you about Blue. Now look, if you follow this channel, you'll know at this stage that I am very, very, very excited by that Nami leader, which is coming along in OP03. I'm extremely excited about that Nami leader. That Nami leader looks amazing. But it's a very weird kind of card. It's not the kind of card that you can just play normally. It's not a normal kind of card. Because you see, it's got a weird thing going on whereby, you can win in the usual way. Obviously, you can win in the usual way. But really, as an additional rule, when your deck reaches 0 cards, you win the match instead of losing it. I did the translations here myself, but the phrasing is from the lovely folks over at onepiece-cardgame.dev. And if you check my Twitter, you'll see I definitely did the translations myself. So, basically, you need to make a mill deck with Nami. You can just play a regular deck, but if you want to play a regular deck, there's better blue leaders. The Ivankov from OBO2, seeing a bunch of playing success over in Japan at the moment. So don't do that. Yeah, if you're going to play Nami, if you're going to go blue, you need to go milling. And what we've ended up with over the past couple of days are a couple of cards that have been revealed that are absolutely ridiculous. But the downside basically is that you mill and run through your deck too quickly. Well, hang on a second, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't sound like it's very much of a problem if you're playing a Nami deck. Now does it? And I want to start off with a one-cost card that is not going to be just played in Nami decks. This is just a legit great one-cost card, because what we've got coming on here is Kaya. Now, first of all, counter plus 2,000. And yeah, I know it's a 0 power card, nobody cares. You're not playing this for the power, so don't even worry about it. We've got a counter plus 2,000, and counter plus 2,000 is great. We know that decks like popping this in. We know that this is something that a lot of decks, well, all decks like to have somewhere, because basically what you've got here is a way to get good counter. Like, every deck needs counter plus 2,000 somewhere. This will work very nicely indeed. So, even if the rest of the card is pure garbage, this could be good for that reason alone. But it's not, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the card is not pure garbage. Because what we've got here is a one-cost card that says on play, draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. Now, I don't think this has to be in a Nami deck, let's be clear. I think it's redonkulous in a Nami deck. I think the idea of being able to play a Nami deck, and this basically, I like to think in terms of percentages. So with a Nami deck, you're trying to deck yourself out. So here, and every card is 2% of your deck, and here, I'm basically getting rid of 4% of my deck. I draw 2, that's 4% of my deck less, and then I trash 2, but again, I'm making a deck which is designed to mill. I know I'm going to be trashing a bunch of stuff. I'm going to be okay with it. And as some of you have pointed out in the past when I've said this, I know it's not actually 4% of your deck, because you're taking 5 cards out for your opening hand and 5 cards out for your security, etc., etc. You know, you're drawing cards every turn, but to figure out that, we would need to know what turn you were, which cards were played. It gets super duper confusing. So I just like to talk in terms of the percentage of your starting deck. And this is good, because it's a one-cost card, right? You can play it turn 1 going first when you've only got 1 Don anyway. You can play these, you know, these are going to be cards. You can counter plus 2,000, and that's going to be good. But there are going to be plenty of games you play down 4 of these cards. Because remember, One Piece, you can just play over existing cards. It's fine. It's not like Pokemon where when you've got a full bench, you can't play cards anymore. So that means that essentially you're drawing 8 cards, which is 16% of your deck. Again, that is added to the 10% of your deck, which you draw over your opening hand, your 10% of your deck, which goes down as your security, etc., etc. And this gets very silly very quickly. Like, this is a real legitimate amount of your deck. And here's the thing. We're talking about now in terms of, well, you know, that's 2 fewer cards in your deck per Kaya, but it's not just that. Because the reason this works in non-Nami decks is just cycling. You know, you're not giving yourself a card advantage. So I don't like to really call it drawing. I like to refer to it as cycling cards. You are seeing 2 cards different to what you had in your hand at the beginning of the turn, and this is good. It means you're more likely to draw into those particular cards you're looking for. It means that the cards that are going to make a big difference in the deck, you're more likely to see. It means you're going to have a more consistent deck than your opponent, and I love this. Obviously, in a Nami deck, this is going to be awesome for cycling through your deck a little bit quicker, making sure you got fewer cards, blah, blah, blah. But even outside of a Nami deck, in any blue deck, whether mono or dual color, the idea of just being able to draw 2 cards and then discard 2 or trash 2 so that you're cycling through your deck that much quicker, that's a legitimately pretty big deal here. This is a genuinely awesome card. But then we get to Usopp, and look, we've seen Usopp a bunch, yeah? It's one of those characters that it is just going to keep coming around, that's fine. This is a very, very, very good Usopp. Because what we've got here is a 4-cost 5,000 power. It's got Rush. It's really, really good. And look, we've seen that Rush is amazing. We know that those red decks are absolutely loving Rush. We know that it's not the only reason, but it's one of the reasons why red has proven to be such a good colour early on. We all know that Roanoa Zoro is one of the best cards in Romance Dawn, and the alternate art has gotten to ridiculous prices. I still think I'm going to get that Agara artwork cheap. I just think we're going to have to wait for big restocks before that happens. But that's a free cost 5,000 power. Now, admittedly, this is 1 more cost, so in terms of pure Russia, no, this is not as good as Roanoa Zoro, and I'm not pretending it is, alright? Now, for what it's worth, there's no downside on the Rush, there's no ifs, buts, or maybes. It is a case of, it has Rush. And here's the thing, go over to onepiece-cardgame.dev, search for Rush, look at all of the cards that have Rush, because onepiece-cardgame.dev is a great place to look for this. And as I'm searching on onepiece-cardgame.dev today, and I'm looking at all the Rushes, I'm not seeing any blue. And if I've forgotten one and been silly again, do let me know. I'm not seeing any blue Rushes. But we know that's the way card games work. All colours do something a little bit differently. You can go and have a look at red, and you've got, for instance, Cavendish, that on play you can return 1 of your life to your hand, and you gain Rush. Or we can look at the aforementioned Roanoa Zoro, which just has Rush. Or the secret rare Shanks, which just has Rush. And if we go into OBO2, we've got Jozu, Don X1. If you've got 2 or fewer life cards and your leader has White Beard Pirates in its type, you get Rush. And Porcus D-Ace. On play, go up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power. And if your leader is White Beard Pirates, this character gains Rush. Or the promo Monkey D. Luffy, Don X2. This character gains Rush. Or, if you want to go to the starter deck, we've got Sanji, Don X2. This character gains Rush. And we've got Monkey D. Luffy, which just has Rush. My point here is, red is a colour where Rush is prevalent. You want a Rush, you go red, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be good. That is not where we are with blue. Blue is not a colour that has lots of Rush. So I just want to point out right at the beginning, the idea that we have Rush here is a very, very big deal. And this is the kind of thing you should be loving. Good? Good. And there isn't even really a downside here outside of the fact that it's proportionally a bit more expensive than we would expect from red. Because it's got Don X1. So you need to attach Don. When your opponent takes damage to their life through the attack of this character, you may trash 7 cards to the top of your deck, but you don't have to. So the fact that you've got to attach Don, and the fact that it's a may, not a must, I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. This writes itself. It's a decent rusher in blue, but again, the fact that we don't have other rushers kind of makes that irrelevant. And in a Nami deck, this is great. This is 14% of your full deck. Which, as we've said, by the time we actually get to use it, you're going to have drawn a bunch of cards, played a bunch of cards, put your life down, etc. It's not really going to be 14% of your deck. It's going to be quite a bit higher. And here's the thing, right? I showed you the other day, I showed you Zeph. And Zeph also had the possibility of trashing the top 7 cards of your deck. which is clearly a very good thing if you're playing a Nami deck and you want to be doing some milling. Obviously. That is Dawn X1. When this character deals damage to your opponent's life, you may trash 7 cards on the top of your deck. Same skill, incidentally. Same skill as we see on Usopp here. The thing is, now there's 2 of them. And I told you when we looked at Zeph, what your opponent basically has to do is they have to block Zeph. They have to get Zeph off the field, or they have to keep blocking, because otherwise this is going to do too much in terms of self-milling. Well, you know what's awesome? Now there's 2 characters that can do the self-milling. And one of them's got Rush. And this is where the Rush really comes in. If you play Zeph, you can't attack the turn you play a character. We all know this. So that means that your opponent basically has a turn to prepare. They have a turn where they know Zeph is on the field. So that means that they can change their strategy slightly, play things a little bit differently than they were planning to stop you going nuts with Zeph. Usopp, they might not see coming. And don't get me wrong, right? They might know you've got it in the deck. They might know that it's an option. But just because they know it's an option doesn't mean they've got a way around it. And they don't have enough time to prepare. And this Nami deck is just looking better and better. I mean, seriously, right? We got a 1-cost character that draws 2 and discards 2, both of which is awesome, both for milling and for cycling your deck. And it's got counter plus 2,000. And then we got a character that can mill 7 cards from your deck. Oh, yeah, and it's got Rush as well. I mean, this is just getting a bit silly at this stage. It is looking awesome. Do remember, of course, you've got 5,000 power, so if you just play this down when you've got 4 Don, you're not going to be boosting up with extra Don. So there is a chance here that 5,000 power is not enough. So there is a decision to be made there, but you can judge that on the game as it is. I'm very excited by this Nami deck. I think I've made it clear. These are cards which are ridiculous. They're good in blue. They are both very good in a standard blue deck, because Kaya cycles and Usopp is the only blue rusher we've seen. Again, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I'm looking on onepiece-cardgame.dev and I ain't seeing one. So even outside of the Nami deck, which is where I'm clearly putting my focus here, even outside of that, we are still looking at an absolutely redonkulous pair of cards, and I, for one, am very happy. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and card games and all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord and chat with us, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.